When you begin to change the way you look at things, things will begin to change.
Hi, I'm Martin Jarvis, and once again, I want to welcome you to Listen. I'm no longer an angry black man. We're going to talk about some things today. We can't be mad anymore as African Americans because we have a black man that's president twice. Now listen to what I'm saying, because I know a lot of black folks are saying, like Cornel West and Tavis Smiley and some of those brothers. Well, the plight of black people still exists. That's not the point. Because I challenge you to go Google Appalachia and look at some of the people there, the white folks there that are really, really jacked up, okay? What I'm saying? So it's not about the state or condition of most of the people in that nation. It's the fact that an African American can be president. That's the point. And at least it is for me. And let me share it with you, and maybe we can talk about some things today. Like for me, it's all through my life. It's like that second-class citizen syndrome. When Obama became president, that first election, Michelle Obama took a lot of flack because she made a statement like, "At last, I know what it's like to be an American." And although she took a lot of flack from especially white folks on the right, I think every black person had to understand or at least empathize with her, at least 99.9% of black folks. Because there are black folks that are living in, I don't know what world they're living in, but there is a reality of what's been going on, all these years, okay? I just turned 54 recently, so I've seen a lot of stuff in my life, okay? And it's always been my belief that if you can't reach the highest echelons in a particular organization that you're in, then you're not really part of that organization. If you're in a company that has never allowed a path for black folks to reach the top in that company, then black folks really aren't really owning that company. They're just being used by the company to produce whatever they can produce. That's what I'm saying. And so we found in the military, the military was something that did change. I mean, the military was segregated years ago, and then it became integrated. And then we found that black folks could become the top general, Colin Powell and many others, 4- or 5-star generals, African American. And so at that point, we recognized that a black man could really be part of the military. Yeah, and myself, I was in the military in the 70s. And I had an issue with even the black-white issue, because the black-white issue in America had an issue with me. I went to school in Ohio, and locally my father was stationed at Wright-Patterson, and this was where he retired, so this is where I kind of grew up. And I had a lot of white friends that I went to school with. The high school I went to school with was predominantly white. Basically, just about the only black folks in that school were military kids, okay? And they're my friends today, many of them Facebook friends. But they, even today, have no idea some of the things that I've been through, some of the names that I've been through, times I've been picked up. Just their age, 15 years old, walking down the street, get picked up by the police because they're looking for a black guy with a tank top on. Another time, picked up because they're looking for a black guy. And I just happen to be walking down the street. Things like that. I've been threatened by even the older siblings of some of my classmates, which they never knew, even to this day, in these neighborhoods, simply because I was a young African American. So there have been things that black folks have gone through that many white folks are oblivious to. And that's even black folks that went to predominantly black high schools that lived in black neighborhoods, they really have no idea what it is to be a black youth in a predominantly white neighborhood school system community. Because there's a lot of that N-word going around, at least what there was when I came up. And you wonder why you got an angry black man. So there have been a lot of things. When I was in the military, it was like I knew that if I ever went somewhere and there was a combat, there was a conflict, I would have a problem if I had to go fight in a nation where there were a nation of black people. I could go fight in Europe and I could fight in Asia, but I was going to have a hard time going to an African nation or even a Middle Eastern nation where people look more like me and shooting somebody, given the history of this nation and even the present that I was functioning in, the racism that I was experiencing on a day-to-day basis, okay? And many of you feel that way as well, or felt that way. And even today, now, after Obama's second election, there's a lot of negativity going around. People wanting to leave the Union, secede from the Union, Texas and so many other states. I'm saying, go ahead. You remember back in the day when black folks would complain about issues and things and mistreatment, and they'd say, well, love it or leave it. Well, I'm saying love it or leave it. Go ahead and secede from the Union. You leave. The state stays here. You leave, okay? You can leave the Union if you want to. That's why I said that on Facebook. I haven't checked it to see what the responses are, but you want to secede from the Union? Go ahead. Just leave the state here when you go, okay? That's all I'm saying. That's ridiculous. That's like being in a classroom in a public school system where you can go to school for free, and you take issue with what they're teaching, and you're saying, I'm leaving, but I'm taking my chair, my desk, all the stuff in my classroom with me. No, you're using this. We're letting you use it. You want to leave, leave, but the desk stays here. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, let's get back to black folks. A lot of anger in the hearts of black folks all of my life and all of the years prior. Come on, my father and mother, they would tell me the stories of the stuff they went through, and I had my own stories to tell of the stuff that I went through. But now we have a black president. We can't complain anymore. I mean, we got situations that are jacked up. It's always been jacked up. We've had white presidents. White folks have suffered, so we can't claim that anymore. That's done. I'm a happy camper now. I'm 53 years old. I got my degree. My son has his college degree. My sister's working on her PhD. My little sister. My brother has a master's degree. I mean, look. My wife has her bachelor's degree. I mean, you can get educated, and you can get a job. My son is doing very well in the private sector since he's graduated. And all the time, on the phone, I'm telling him, when we talk, he's living in another state right now. I'm like, just see what happens? When you do well, get an education, keep your nose clean, always keep your nose clean, and you'll go far, okay? And he's finding that to be true. Now, if he delves into things that he shouldn't be and gets jammed up, he gets in trouble, loses his job, well, he can't complain. But what I'm seeing in his life, the life of many other African Americans, his contemporaries, many of his friends that graduated with him from other colleges and all. So if they keep their nose, they got their education, they keep their nose clean, they'll do well. And we have an African American president. That's all we can ask for. Okay? And I'm saying so we can't be looking for handouts. Now I'm not a Republican, okay? But I'm just saying, come on, handouts. The problem, see, there's really nothing wrong necessarily, in my opinion, with any agenda, whether it's the Democratic agenda or the Republican agenda, as long as there's not a hint of racism in there, either one is fine, okay? I mean, there's no problem. It's sort of a balance, in our nation. Because if the Democrats were totally in charge 100%, man, it'd kind of be jacked up. The Republicans were in charge 100%, it'd be kind of jacked up. So I see some good and bad in both parties, and that's fine. So as black people, we really don't have anything more to complain about. Now there may be unfair hiring practices, and unfair this and unfair that, but nothing that if you put your nose to the grindstone, nothing that you can't accomplish, that a white person can accomplish. I mean, how many people can be president? Obama's the 44th president. So out of all the people that have been born since this nation's inception, there haven't been too many white folks that have been president either. And the last 2 terms of president is a black man. So we don't have that complaint. I don't have that complaint. There has been a burden lifted. Now that first for me, at least, that first election, Obama's been president all this time. I'm like, well, it could have been a fluke. And so I'm like not knowing really what's going to happen this next election, But he was elected again by white folks. And I could always, not always, but I could tell. I was at this little function the other day at my daughter's school. My daughter's school has like 99% white folks in it, Real good school. And we were like really cool, when she was in kindergarten. I mean, the people did have issues. You could tell folks rolling their eyes because Obama had been president for a couple of years and all. But now some folks are really mad. But but if it wasn't for white folks voting for Obama, Obama wouldn't have been president. He had white folks voting for him. And you could always tell, or I could tell. Because I sat down at this little function with my daughter, and I'm walking into places now just waiting for white people to be mad at me, So I got to... I'm just not trying. Like, my wife is so good. I mean, she's such a good-hearted person, and I don't know if I was ever as good as she is, but she's always trying to look and say hello to people, hi, and then people are always like, just coming at her kind of negative. I don't give them that. I'm like expecting the worst. I'm a little bit older than she is, and I've seen a lot of negative. See, she was raised in black communities, okay? I was raised in white communities. I seen stuff in the military, overseas. I mean, I just seen some stuff, some serious racism, okay? And so she hadn't seen what I seen, so I mean, she's innocent, okay? But it's like, I walk into place, I ain't looking to say hi to anybody. Maybe I gotta work on this, okay? So I sat down, and this guy, and we're in this like cafeteria. This was yesterday, because we're making something for my daughter's school. And I'm sitting next to this white guy. Actually, we're the only black people in this whole thing, in this whole function. There's like a few hundred folks in there. We're the only ones, okay? So we're sitting down there, me and my wife and my daughter, we're cutting making some kind of banner for something they're doing, And this guy just starts saying something to me. I'm not even hearing him because I've already blocked everybody out. I'm waiting for all this negativity because Obama just got reelected about a week and a half ago. Everybody's still mad, right? And he's talking to me. And finally, it came to me. This guy's talking to me, and I'm listening. And he's asking me, how am I? He's smiling and cheesing and everything. White guy. And I'm realizing at that point, this guy voted for Obama. You can tell the ones that voted for Obama because they're really happy. The ones that didn't are really mad. But I have to believe, though, that even the white folks that voted for Obama, when they're around just other white folks that they know didn't, they probably look kind of somber, too, but they're probably cracking up inside, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, I mean, but what the point is, we really don't have that much to still be angry about. I was an angry black man. Man, growing up, I had the pictures of Huey P. Newton on my wall. Malcolm X. These were my heroes. H. Rap Brown, Eldridge Cleaver, Kathleen Cleaver, Angela Davis. My favorite book was Soul on Ice by Eldridge Cleaver. I mean, this is where I was at. Man, I was in like the 8th grade wearing a black jacket, white little turtleneck, black beret sunglasses with a switchblade in my pocket. And I was a GI kid out here. But it was like, I was very angry. I was so angry. I mean, I would read a lot, and I would read all the history books, and I would see all the pictures of the lynchings and the beatings and the murders, and read all these stories historically about the black experience in America. And then I was brought here to Ohio. I didn't even know where Ohio was. I mean, I was born in California. We lived in Europe, and my father was in Vietnam. We were in Kansas. Then we moved to Maine, and then from Maine we came here to Ohio. And there was some stuff I just wasn't ready for. And I thought the N-word was my actual name. No. There was just a lot of stuff going on here, and I became very angry. I think what made me most angry is that there's so much racism and so much prejudice. And because of the place where I lived, here in Ohio, I saw all these uneducated people that were trying to be racist to me. People that were dumber than me were in a position to control me, or at least look down on me, or at least cause negativity in my life. People that were not as smart as I am were in a position to give me grief. And that was very offensive, and I became a very angry young black man. Plus just being mistreated, even by white teachers, from like the 3rd grade. One incident vividly, I was telling my wife about it. I thought I had told about it before, but she began almost crying when I was telling her about it. How I was in the 3rd grade once. You're my therapy today. I was in the 3rd grade. And I was at this desk, I think it was the 3rd grade. They had those old-fashioned desks. You know, they had like the well, and you could lift up the wood and keep all your books and papers and pencils and things in there. Well, we were sitting at other people's desks at this particular time of day or something. And I was playing with something like the top of a pen or an eraser or something, I don't remember. But there was like a hole in the desk, and it fell through the hole and went in the desk. So I lifted it up and got whatever it was I dropped out and closed the desk. Well, anyway, as it turns out, supposedly, whoever's desk that was, something was missing out of their desk. And then somebody had told that I was in their desk, okay? And probably the person that really stole something or something really was missing. But these three white teachers, adults, and I'm in the 3rd grade, mind you. That's about 7 years old, 8 years old. I'm sitting at a desk. They're yelling at me. All 3 of these adult white teachers, I know you stole it. You stole it. We know you stole it. Blah, blah. And I'm crying and crying. They're not calling my parents. I don't have any representation. These are 3 adults just on me and on me, and I'm just crying, and it's like the more I cried, the madder they got, and they were just all on me. And then I went home, and they called my mother to say, Margaret's kind of upset. Because that was the late 60s. You did have the Panthers. You did have a lot of stuff going on, in the United States. They probably got scared. They didn't know what kind of mama I had. But I never told her, probably until I was like 45, 50 years old, because I was so ashamed. But those type situations created in me the person I was, that hate, that anger. Because even at that time, it wasn't even about white folks. I mean, nobody, I don't fault my parents, but they didn't warn me about that. My little girl, she understands now. She's 7. She's sitting next to this boy in class, he says, I hate Obama. They're going through that stuff. So I have to explain to her why they hate Obama. They hate Obama because, he's a black man, and that there's an issue with that. So I'm beginning to express to my girl the situations and the attitudes about black folks so she can have a strength. And so I think she's experiencing some of that with teachers in school as well as some of the students. I said, look, honey, there's nothing that you're going through that Daddy didn't go through. The difference is that I didn't realize what was going on. You do. So don't be upset. Just recognize what's going on. They just mad, okay? They mad because the president looks like you. I said, so to me, I said, like if you're in a game or something and you win and somebody gets mad at you, they're not right because they were playing the game. They would have accepted the victory if they had won. They would have expected you to be gracious about it. So I said, so there was a game, this election. They lost and now they're venomously angry. What I shared with her is that makes it a little bit more sweeter to me. If we have a competition and you are venomous and negative through the competition, calling names and catcalling, and making fun and all that stuff, and then you lose, and you can't even be gracious about losing, you're all mad, pissed off, and running around, ranting, raving, acting crazy. We're leaving the United States. We don't want to live here no more. Man, that's going to make the victory even sweeter to me. That's what I shared with her. So when somebody doesn't act right, and you won, you don't have to get mad. Don't be mad. You won, right? So think about that. So I ain't mad. Don't be mad, black folks. We just need to get ourselves together now. We need to recognize this nation is not like it was before. We got our Latino brothers. We got our African American brothers. We got whatever kind of issues we have. I saw that in the hood. I mean, whether we are homeless, alcoholics, drug addicts, whatever kind of issues in our lives, we get down there and voting. And we did that. We saw the power. We've seen a black man president in this nation on his 2nd term. That's going to be a total of 8 years. My little girl was 3 years old when Obama became president. She's going to be 11, and all she's ever consciously known is that there's been a black president. Not just black kids, but white kids too. So for black kids, that's empowering to give us a reality of the ceiling that we had over our heads no longer exists. And white kids is empowering as well because they're not coming up with that same false idea of superiority that those that came up with us had. Because that's why they're having such a hard time dealing with it. All this superiority that they thought they had, we're this, we're that. When all that stuff came crumbling down, what they got left? They ain't got sports no more. They ain't got music. All these things. And in their mind, it's like, that's why when Obama became president, we want our country back. What does that mean? You want your country back? It's the same country that was here when Nixon was president. Same country was here when Lyndon Johnson was president. Same country was here when Ford and Carter and Reagan and, and the Bushes. Clinton. It's the same country. What you mean you want your country back? Read into that a little bit. What do you think that really means? Well, if that's what it really means, they didn't get their country back. So we need to find some power in that. Recognizing we're okay than we ever thought we were. We're okay than they were stereotyped us to be. We're okay than they thought we were. And as far as they're concerned, they're not all what they thought they were. They're just like everybody else. And their kids are going to be well because they recognize that. They won't have that false feeling of superiority, or what do they call it, psychologists call it, the delusions of grandeur. These kids, the white kids, won't have that. They will be well. Our kids will be well. So like the Bible, the children of Israel, it said they walked in the desert 30 years to the promised land. And folks have studied, that time frame and where they were walking. It should have only taken 2 weeks to get there. But they walk around in circles. Why is that? Because it was necessary, many believe, that the old folks with the old attitudes from Egypt, all those old folks had to die off before the young people were allowed to walk into that promised land. Our young people don't have the issues that we had. Black kids or white kids don't have an issue. Latinos won't have them either. And then this nation is going to be a lot better because of it. When we all die off. But that's okay, man. Because that's what, who wants to live forever? Who's going to live forever? I plan on living a long time, but my desire is that my children be well. That's why my son, I'd be working in the inner city, a mailman in the inner city, Well, sometimes in the wintertime, it's like, son, this is why you need an education. He would come to me driving me, Dad, can I have $10? Can I have $20? My mustache would be frozen from rain and ice, right? That's why you need an education, son. That's why I must have told him that 300-400 times. This is why you need an education, son. Most of the time it was tongue in cheek, but it was for real. This is why you need an education. He got that education. My daughter. Well, every day we're doing homework with her. I didn't even do that with my son. And of course I didn't have that when I grew up. Nobody, well, you learned it in school. What do you need my help in homework for? That's the attitude we had growing up. But my daughter, we work with her. We work with her. We help her with her homework. We get her there, help her study for tests, all that stuff. It's got to make sure my daughter's well. I'm running with my daughter 5 nights a week, started in September through the 1st of January to get us both in shape, but to get her in shape. I'm getting in shape in the process. Because she needs to be well. So I'm getting her disciplined. I'm getting her healthier. I'm getting her ready to compete, ready to do things that she never thought she could do. Because I don't have to live forever. I don't have to walk into that promised land. I could be one of the old folks dying off. Let my child and your child and the white kids and the black kids, Latino kids walk into this next generation, walk into this next time being well. And I have to put up with the garbage that we had to put up with. I'm happy. You should be happy too. Don't be angry anymore. You start seeing, and I've been doing this too, and I'm saying as of today, it just hit me today. Because I'm looking at that conflict in the Middle East, okay? Even with this Obama thing, I've changed. I was not really anti-Israel, but I think I've been always anti the oppressor, okay? And I always saw like the Palestinian issue and the people in the Middle East, I really saw their side of it. Like they had their land and powers that were great took up people from Europe and said they're in this land now and made them move over and support them with our weapons and our guns. I understand the resentment of those folks, okay? But as I recognize this thing with Obama being president and even in my opinion, our role being changed as black folks in America, and not that it was but a change in our own minds, that look, sometimes like the Palestinians over there in Israel, I always feel for the underdog, but by now, look, this is just the way that it is over there. They really just need to recognize this is just the way that it is. They can't win. And what's really unfortunate, the people over there that are in authority, that are creating the chaos, then the people, the innocent people, the civilians are getting killed because of the rabble-rousers. Now, I'm not like pro-Israel, anti-Palestine. I'm pro-everybody over there, and I really feel bad that they just can't get it together. But at this point, after all these years, this is just the way that it is. You just need to find a way to live in peace. that the religious people are saying, oh, it'll never be peaceful because of something the Bible says. That's only because they don't understand what the Bible really says. And that is probably more talking about a spiritual reality of the dichotomy of men in and of ourselves, where we have the flesh and the spirit, the good and the bad fighting against each other, rather than, and it's always going to be like that. That these people are always going to have to kill themselves. It doesn't have to be that way. But sort of, that's more of the suggestion and the stereotype, sort of like the same kind of stereotype they've done to black people for all these years. It doesn't have to be that way. Folks over there don't have to kill. There has to be reason, there can be reason. But you have rabble-rousers on each side that are in leadership that are causing these problems. And those are the people that need to be dealt with. Anyway, be happy. Black folks, be happy. White folks, be happy. We should all we can be happy here. We are Americans. I like as I opened up talking about Michelle Obama saying, I just realized what it's like to be an American. I think today it really hit me on what it's like to be an American. I was raised in the military. My father's military. My father was in World War II, Korea, Vietnam. My brothers were in Vietnam. Another brother and myself, peacetime. My sister was Desert Storm, Desert Shield, still in today. E9, as a matter of fact, as of about 3 weeks ago. It's like but just for the first time, oh, I was military as well. I really felt and understood what it is to be an American, a black American. It used to be, I would feel like I'm a black man first and American second. I think after this second election, I began to reevaluate that. I see that I'm an American first and a black man second. But see, American isn't, but what I see as American might be different than other folks see as American. And that's the difference. But anyway, did I confuse you? Yeah, I'm just talking, man. I'm just talking. I do hope you got something out of the program. And I do appreciate you listening.